G'day, welcome to Endurance Room. Hope everybody's doing well. Today we're taking a closer look at 6SH120, the Ratnik Shelter. We've looked at this in an earlier video on the channel, and I featured in a number of overnights, but today I've got something special for you guys. I have not one, but two. So we're going to throw together a couple different shelter configurations and take a look at the potential of this as a shelter system. (6SH120), the Ratnik Shelter. This is from Russian Cold Camo, and we looked at this in an earlier video on the channel, as well as featuring it in several overnighters over the past year or so. And this is an awesome piece of kit. It is a modern day shelter half. You know, you guys are probably familiar with the old school canvas pup tents and the Plash Palatkas, but this is a modern day version. And for something that looks so simple as, you know, a little rectangular tarp, you can do so much with it. This is the camo that it's in. This is called EMR. It's a digital floor pattern, and it's designed for coniferous forests, boreal type forests, but it works equally well in any, you know, deciduous forest, as long as, you know, it's like spring, summer, early fall. This is awesome. Great camo, but it really shines in pine trees and a conifer type forest. But it comes with its own carrying case that the tarp is built into. Just got a single zip, and then the tarp pulls out. But nice tidy storage. It's got a webbing loop on the handle, and then, you know, a zipper. This is the new one that Russian Cold Camo just sent me, and the earlier version that I got, it's a bit different. The camo is a little bit darker, a little more subdued. There's a number of webbing loops for staking it down, as well as building guylines, which are in these little internal Velcro sealed pockets. And on the older version that I got, the first one that I got, the webbing pockets are on the exterior of the tarp in from the edge. So when you tie it out, it gives you this little overhang, which is really cool, especially for setting up your shelters. The newer version of the tarp, they changed the location of those building guylines to the very outer edge on the underside. So what it does is keep those pockets from getting wet and taking on any water and making the tarp more watertight. But they still pair up, they're still the same size, and I'm going to show you how they connect together, and we'll set up some shelters while we still got some light. Originally, the tarp comes with the carrying case attached to it directly, and I cut it off on my first one. I have it attached to the second one so you can see what that's like. The tarp is made out of a pretty heavy duty synthetic fabric. Here's the newer version. So looking at the underside first, the original version had heavy duty webbing handles, D-rings for attaching other Ratnik shelters. There's a number of small pockets for inserting stakes for building shelters. You have the pockets at all four corners, as well as the midline. There's two pockets for building your A-frame bivouac style shelter for the one-man tent. Now on the top side, we have webbing loops for staking it down, and they run all along the sides, as well as these Velcro pockets with the building guylines. Really cool system. On the newer tarp, we've got the same webbing loops, and the pockets have been moved to the underside, which keeps them out of the way and lets you have the whole thing sealed up, so it's nice and watertight. The webbing handles are a little bit different. They're a little bit lighter, but it is nice and reinforced and heavy duty fabric. I believe the newer shelter is a bit more heavy duty than the older one. The fabric feels a little more rigid, and the fact that the seams are taped up gives you a lot better water protection. To connect the tarps together, you simply take the webbing on one side and run it through the D-rings. You go through both, and then feed it back through one. The D-rings feel like they have some kind of plastic or rubberized coating, which gives it some traction on the webbing loop. It's got great retention. It's not slipping off of there. So we've got our two shelters connected. So then to stake it out, I'll just use the webbing loops. I'm pulling it tight this way, as well as from the back corner. This is the recommended configuration for combining two shelters, this A-frame pup tent style setup. And it's listed as a 4-man shelter configuration. It'd be pretty tight, maybe having it a little bit lower to the ground so everybody was going in this way, maybe. But you know, realistically, this will fit 2 people and all of their gear very comfortably. But there's a number of different setups you can do. Real quick, we're in the forest. We have access to the trees here. If you are in a field or higher ground above tree line, you could use trekking poles in the pockets and then just stake it down to the ground that way. You can tighten it up with the webbing loops on the side. You can also use this overlap as a snow skirt and pile snow on top of it. That'll help seal it up. The camouflage is awesome in a coniferous forest or a deciduous forest during the greener months. It's very effective. It's also effective at night with IR. During the warmer months, if you're in a place where mosquitoes would be an issue, it would be really easy to combine with a bug net suspended from the ceiling, and you have great protection that way, as well as good ventilation and good visibility. From the corner, I'm going to go in one webbing loop. On this tarp, I'm going to use the D-rings. We'll retension the front. Here we have a much lower and more enclosed shelter setup. This is what's known as a forester's tent. You can definitely fit 2 people in there. You've got visibility out the front as well as out the back. If you want to close in the back end, you just stash your backpack in the back corner and that'll kind of block that off. And then you just have the opening right here. But this is a great setup, especially for 1 or 2 people. Here we are from about 20 yards away, and you can see that is a really low profile shelter, even in this white backdrop. It looks like a pine tree on its side. Let's take a look at one more shelter setup, and to do that, I'm going to use a ridgeline. On my ridgeline, I've got 2 prusik loops with carabiners attached to them. I'm going to take the first right at the center of the tarps. And I'm using the webbing loop to connect my carabiner. I'm going to the corner, pulling out from the center. Repeating on the opposite side. Right here, this is going to be our front. What we can do is use the second carabiner to tie off. So this gives you 3 sides of cover. The back end is closed in. You could toggle that off or use a guy line to pull it out to tension and get a little more room in the back. It's about 9 feet long. And then that top bridge there, that's about 5 feet long. This is a great little setup. You've got 3 sides of cover. You have your fire out front. With a synthetic, I would keep it 2 good footsteps away, but that'll keep you nice and warm and give you a good amount of protection. You can put a little tiny bug net right over the front and you'd be good to go. You could also hang, a Plash Palatka over here, and that'll give you a nice doorway. You could even use the Palatka as an awning and have a tarp out front, which would be really cool. Absolutely have room for 2 people plus gear. Takes no time at all to set up. That was probably like 2 minutes, and that was with me filming and talking. But wait, there's more. If it was cold and you wanted to make it warmer, you could close it up. Check this out. You slide the guy line back. I'm releasing my clip. And just like that, you have a pyramid / teepee. You could tighten it up and bring the front 2 corners in, and it would give you a triangular footprint that will let you close it off nice and tight and give you the most amount of protection, trapping the most amount of air on the inside, making the warmest option. If you wanted to, say we had a tree right here, you could very easily turn this into a plow point. You have a huge amount of cover. Check this out from a distance. This is about 25 feet away. On a white background with, some trees in the back, but that is very, very low profile. If you put this in a better suited location, this would be a very stealthy shelter setup with a good amount of room and a good amount of protection. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our look at 6SH120, the Ratnik Shelter. If you have any questions about it, just let me know down below. I'm happy to help, and I'll have some links down there for you if you want to check it out for yourself at Russian Cold Camo. All right, everybody. I hope you're good. We'll catch you soon. Cheers.